It's been a while since I did one of these. Not as many complex or strange questions coming my way lately, but we do have a few here that we can touch on. Again, if you want to have questions specifically addressed that relates to audio, or at least a bit to audio, hit me up on this video down below. Let's do this. Now, the first one comes from Dopevids. They wanted to know, why was the woman's voice so much louder? It sounded way better when a woman was speaking into the microphone. That's a great question, Dope, if you don't mind me calling you that. I forget when I screen capped this or even what video it was from, so I don't even know what microphone we're talking about. However, I can still kind of describe this in a few different ways. First up, I may have screwed up in the leveling when doing the video. Generally, I go through and make sure all the audio is manually leveled as for your listening enjoyment. However, there is also another explanation to the second part of your question. Now, all microphones have different frequency responses, and they can reflect your voice in a number of different ways. Some microphones are brighter, and they don't do my voice justice as I have a lower voice and a sibilant tongue. As for a woman's voice sounding so much better, well, in that circumstance, my wife, I'm guessing it was her, would have had her voice cradled by the frequencies a bit better. I've said it a ton, test your microphones out before you buy them. A/B them as much as you can, because some mics may do you a disservice and others might knock it out of the park. A microphone that sounds okay on me might make my wife's voice sound amazing, and vice versa. Barring the ability to actually try microphones out, your best bet is to watch as many reviews as you can with different voices on the mic, specifically a voice that kind of matches up with yours. And with that, you can make an educated decision from there. I hope that helped, Dope. And on to number 2. Bloomtick Bloom asks, Claret 2 Pre or this, referring to the Rodecaster Pro 2. Which will sound better? Thanks for the question, Bloom, and this on paper should be an easy answer, but it really isn't. Now, the Rodecaster Pro 2 is more utility than it is specific. So if we're going to compare this, it'd be like asking if a Swiss Army knife is better than a hunting knife. It comes down to, well, it depends. Are you defending yourself or are you opening Chardonnay on the field of battle? It could happen. Both, while similar, have very different uses. Now, I can say I've never had the opportunity to review any of the Claret lineup yet, specifically those new ones, which I'm going to assume you're talking about. Now, if you're looking for specific clarity and perhaps more of a musically driven recording device, I would go for the Claret 2 Plus Pre. Now, the reviews are fantastic on the unit, and for music, that massive boost in sample rate would be key. But if you're really just looking for an all-in-one that does everything, but perhaps not at the level you might need, the Rodecaster Pro 2 is a fantastic buy. While it might not blow you out of the water spec-wise for everything, it does what it does extremely well. So your end use does kind of come into play here. Let me know if that helps. And we're going to cap it off with one last question. It's kind of the same, but a bit more in depth. And this one comes from Funny Bunny Man. And he wants to know, I'm a semi-pro guitarist of over a decade, trying to break into the podcasting realm. Currently, the setup I'm leaning towards looks something like an SM7B into a Fredenstein F200, into either a Focusrite Scarlett 18i8, a PreSonus Studio 1810C, or a Motu 8A, or a more budget-friendly option, which is the SM7B into an Art Tube MP, into an FMR Audio RNC 1773, into an 18i8, an 1810C, or an 8A. Could you throw all this gear out, buy the Rodecaster Pro 2 and an SM7B, and obtain equal or close enough audio quality? There's a ton to unpack from this, and let me first say thank you for the question, Funny Bunny Man. And this is much like the second question. Use case is a big deal, but it does kind of take a sidestep here to the music end of things. First question I'm going to have for you is, are you still planning on doing music at a semi-professional level? So let's start with your first setup, the one with the Fred F200. And the answer is no. Your setup is perfectly fine for music and podcasting. Everything on the Rodecaster Pro 2 can be replicated outside the unit, including the sound pads. Now, if you're already invested in that gear, the Rodecaster Pro 2 would be an awesome unit to get, but if you're clearing house and replacing it all, it might leave you feeling like something's lacking. The biggest problem you'll run into this is versatility, which considering the Rodecaster Pro 2 might be a bit of an odd statement. Let me explain. A professional setup is generally considered a better option because you can swap out or add to much of it without a problem. Need warmer pre's? Well, swap out the Fred for something smoother. Hell, you could run a full rack mount with all that setup. All the while, you end up with better pre's, and yeah, they're going to be way better than what the Rodecaster Pro 2 is offering up. And then on top of that, your Fred F200 will offer much superior outbound effects, provided you know what you're doing. So if that is the route you're going, 100% I would skip the Rodecaster Pro 2 altogether. Now, if you're looking at the budget option, however, the Rodecaster Pro 2 kind of wipes the floor with those all day long. Art isn't known for their whisper quiet pre's, and the FMR is not bad for its price, but I think I can say with a lot of certainty the Rodecaster Pro 2 will serve you well over those options. Now, with all that said, keep in mind the stock specs for the Rodecaster Pro 2. It does max out at a 48K sample rate, and if you're a musician and you need more, and most do, this whole Q&A is kind of dead in the water, isn't it? I am really curious to see what you end up going with, so make sure you message back. Hit me up. Again, if you liked this video and would like to see more, remember, they're fully powered by your questions. Hit me up down below. And if you missed my review on the Rodecaster Pro 2, here it is.